Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jazmin. If you have no idea who I am a first generation low income undergraduate at Stanford University, and I made this channel to help other first generation low income students get better access to higher education through my college related videos. In today's video, we're going to be talking about my personal financial aid package as a low-income student at Stanford University, which is one of the most prestigious and one of the most expensive universities in the world. So how do I do it? And in reality, the answer to that question is I don't. It's actually quite simple. Like I said, Stafford is a very known school to be very prestigious and elite, and it's one of the top universities in the world. So what that means is that it also has a large endowment. An endowment for a university is the combined number of assets that university owns. So Stafford ranks number 4 in the world's most richest universities, right behind number 1 Harvard, number 2 the University of Texas System, and number 3 Yale. So how much money does Stafford actually have? Well, in October 2020, Stafford reported $28.9 billion, which is an insane amount of money. They usually get this money from students who actually do pay tuition and donations, students who pay room and board, and all of these other avenues that contribute and add up to Stafford's endowment. So what this means is that Stafford has a lot of money, and it has a lot of money to give away. So this insane amount of money allows students like me to go to school with students like this. And Stafford does this through its very generous financial aid policy. So what they very much value is being able to communicate that they will pay for your school if you cannot afford it. Because they have so much money, they're willing to pay for the schools of students who cannot afford it in order to get these students to Stanford. This is super common in all of the top schools who have large endowments and are able to have this money and give this money to students who really want to go but cannot afford the original ticket price. The specific policy for Stanford is that if you earn less than $150,000 in your household, then they will pay for your tuition, and you would have to pay for the rest of it, whatever that is, your meal plan, your room and board. But that's if you earn less than $150,000 but more than $65,000. So if you're under $65,000 of your household income, then Stafford offers to pay for everything. So they give you a full ride if you're under the $65,000 threshold. And that describes my family's situation. Because I was able to meet the requirement and be below that threshold, that means I count as low income in Stafford's eyes, and they are able to pay for everything. So what that includes is tuition. I can enroll in as many classes as I want or as few classes as I want, and it won't matter to my bill because I'm not actually paying for it. And they pay for my room and board, so the room, my dorm that I stay at, is completely paid for by Stafford, including all the utilities, the electricity, or any other expenses that come with room and board, as well as my meal plan. Stafford has different types of meal plans, and I get to choose which one I want because I know that Stafford will be able to cover that for me. Additionally, Stafford, like many other universities, require that I have some type of healthcare that is adequate enough, or that they believe is adequate enough. And when I was going through the enrollment process for the very first time as a freshman, I found out that the government health insurance that I had was just not enough for Stanford's requirements. So the university said that I had to get the university health insurance, but I couldn't afford that because it was $6,000 a year, and my family just could not afford $6,000 a year for health insurance if I was already under the government health insurance. So what Stanford did, because I was panicking, I was like, you guys are not letting me submit my government health insurance as a replacement for the health insurance policy, but the plan that you guys are offering I can't afford. So what do? I called the financial aid office, which is one of my tips. You should always ask questions because this is how I got my health insurance paid for. I called the financial aid office and I was like, hello, this is a situation I'm in. I don't know what to do. I'm a low income student. I can't afford $6,000 a year. And they said, don't worry about it. We'll cover it. We'll add an additional scholarship to your financial aid package so that you don't have to worry about the expenses, but you're still under the university health insurance, which was insane to me because I had already been getting so many things paid for by Stanford. In addition to my first year, they gave us a welcome grant scholarship, and that money went towards helping me transition into moving moving into Stanford, moving into my dorm, having to buy all of the expenses, my plane tickets, my dorm stuff, that was also paid for by Stanford. And for a lot of students who are also on this type of financial aid plan or under the $65,000 who are also on the full ride scholarship to Stanford can report the outside scholarships that they have, and Stanford takes that into account to their financial aid package. And if you have money left over in your bill, then they will refund that money to you, and you will receive an email that says this amount of money is being deposited into your account, because it turns out that you have more money than you need to pay the expenses. So they just refund you that money, and you can use that money however you want. So if you want to get into very specific numbers of my financial aid package, I could somewhat do that. I'm not going to put out my personal information out on the internet, but I do have some general expenses. So on my financial aid package, it says that tuition costs $55,473. I'm sorry, I don't have that money. So Stanford was like, don't worry, we got you. We're super rich. We're just gonna be paying ourselves. So that's what they did. And then room and board was $16,650, which is also insane. I cannot afford that, and they were like, don't worry, we got you. And the health insurance, as I mentioned before, was $5,928, and they provided a scholarship for that expense. They also included a student fees allowance, which is $1,995, which I'm assuming is a lot of the fees that we have to pay as students, enrollment fees, or any other things that we have to do that I'm not entirely sure of, because Stanford's like, don't worry, we got it, we're gonna pay for it anyway. So I never really came to really understand what certain expenses are because I'm not paying for them. My financial aid package also takes into consideration estimated indirect costs. So this looks like personal expenses like shampoos and clothes and all of these other personal expenses that I need to do as a college student and as a human in general. They also take into consideration books and supplies allowance. So obviously as a student, I have to pay for textbooks, notebooks, technology, and all of that school-related stuff. And they also take into consideration travel. So I'm not sure what this amount looks like for other students in different parts of the world, but I know that my travel expenses on my financial aid package are different than my friends who live in Denver or New York or Florida or a whole other country, because obviously if you're flying in from the other side of the world, that's going to cost a lot more than if you're just flying from SoCal to NorCal. So like I said, Stanford pays for everything, and on the financial aid package that they give me, I get to see that amount being paid in the form of scholarships. So for example, I have the health insurance scholarship and the Stanford Fund scholarship, which is insane because the Stanford Fund scholarship on my financial aid letter is over $72,000. And I also have federal resources known as the Pell Grant or the Cal Grant. I know those grants are more government related and kind of outside of Stanford, but still not considered an outside scholarship, and I didn't have any outside scholarships. So my school expenses are basically paid through those scholarships given to me within the university. I'm currently a second year here at Stanford, and because of coronavirus, Stanford decided to eliminate the student and parent contribution. My parent contribution was $0 anyways, but my student contribution was $5,000, because even if you're under the $65K and you're earning a full ride at Stanford University, you as a student are still expected to pay $5,000. I don't know why, but because Stanford understands that a lot of students have been affected by coronavirus, a lot of parents have lost their jobs, and because so many families have economically difficult situations, then Stanford decided to completely eliminate all student contributions, which means that for the very first time of this quarter, I actually have to pay $0. So I didn't understand all of the details of how much Stanford actually pays for my education until I became a Stanford student, but I did know that Stanford had a policy that if I earned less than $65,000, then I would get a full ride. So definitely when I got accepted into Stanford, this was my dream school, this was my #1 choice, and I 100% committed right when I read the congratulations letter, because I knew that I was gonna get some of the world's best education basically for free, because I was going to get a full ride, and I knew that, and that just added to my joy of being accepted into Stanford. Especially as a low-income student, I know it could be very hard and discouraging to think that a lot of private universities are way too expensive. As I said, it's over $80,000 for students who are not on any type of financial aid that they have to pay, and that seems very, very scary as a low-income student. But that's why I made this video, because I wanted you to know that a lot of these prestigious universities, not only Stanford, but places like Harvard, the other Ivy Leagues, MIT, U Chicago, all of these have amazing financial aid and are actually really, really affordable for low-income students. So I definitely encourage more low-income students to apply to these private universities. I know you might think that you're not good enough to be accepted into these schools, but I didn't think so either, and here I am. Go check out my stats video if you want to learn more about what numbers I applied with to Stafford. Go check out my extracurriculars video if you want to learn more about what extracurriculars I was involved in high school that got me into Stafford. And always, always, always believe in yourself. I hope this video was helpful. Please let me know down in the comments below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at FirstGenFirst, or on Twitter, FirstGenFirst1, or send us an email at info@firstgenfirst.org. Bye. And Stanford does this through its very generous. The specific policy for Stanford is that if you the specifics can report the outside scholarships.